I've just been through one of the most extraordinary scenes imaginable. Tonight is Christmas Eve, and I came up into the trench this evening for my tour of duty in them. Firing was going on all the time, and the enemy's machine guns were at it hard, firing at us. Then, about 7, the firing stopped. I was in my dugout reading a paper and the mail was being dished out. It was reported that the Germans had lighted their trenches up all along our front. We had been calling to one another for some time, Christmas wishes and other things. I went out, and they shouted, "No shooting!" And then somehow the scene became a peaceful one. All our men got out of the trenches and sat on the parapet. The Germans did the same. And they talked to one another in English and broken English. I got on top of the trench and spoke German, and asked them to sing a German Volkslied, folk song, which they did. And then our men sang quite well, and each side clapped and cheered the other. I asked a German who sang a solo to sing one of the Schumann's songs. So he sang the Two Grenadiers splendidly. Our men were a good audience and really enjoyed his singing. Then Pope and I walked across and held a conversation with the German officer in command. One of his men introduced us properly. He asked my name and then presented me to his officer. I gave the latter permission to bury some German dead who were lying in between us, and we agreed to have no shooting until 12 midnight tomorrow. We talked together, and 10 or more Germans gathered round. I was almost in their lines, within a yard or so. We saluted each other. He thanked me for permission to bury his dead, and we fixed up how many men were to do it, and that otherwise both sides must remain in their trenches. Then we wished one another good night, and a good night's rest, and a happy Christmas, and parted with a salute. I got back to the trench. The Germans sang Die Wacht am Rhein. Sounded well. Then our men sang quite well, Christians Awake. It sounded so well, and with a good night, we all got back into our trenches. It was a curious scene. A lovely moonlit night, the German trenches with small lights on them, and the men on both sides gathered in groups on the parapets. At times we heard the guns in the distance, and an occasional rifle shot. I can hear them now, but about us is absolute quiet. I allowed 1 or 2 men to go out and meet a German or 2 halfway. They exchanged cigars, a smoke, and talked. The officer I spoke to hopes we should do the same on New Year's Day. I said yes, if I'm here. I thought I must sit down and write the story of this Christmas Eve before I went to lie down. Of course, no precautions are relaxed, but I think they mean to play the game. All the same, I think I shall be awake all night so as to be on the safe side. It is weird to think that tomorrow night we shall be hard at it again. If one gets through this show, it will be a Christmas time to live in one's memory. The German who sang had a really fine voice. I'm just off for a walk round the trenches to see all is well. Good night.